And we are live. Welcome to Unicorn Chef. You guys remember me? I'm Mike Ellis. Bryson couldn't make it today. It's our anniversary on the weekend. He's out getting a Brazilian. So, with that, I'd like everybody to go to the SPCA, donate to your local animal shelter, donate time, donate food. They need us and we need them. So, that's my big special spiel. If you're following along, cooking along, share your pictures, media on all areas with the hashtag Unicorn Chef. And with that, I introduce you to our unicorns, Andrew, Leslie Mills. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Andrew Mills, my wife Leslie Mills. We're up here in Seattle and we're drinking. What are you drinking, Mike?
So, you guys said I had to do a Chianti?
Yes.
It's highly recommended, yeah.
It's Tenuto di Nozzoli.
Ooh. We actually got two different ones, one to cook with and one to drink, but we're drinking.
Well, they're both drinkable.
That's true.
They're both very, very nice. We just opened one. But we also have a Chianti, Fattoria Svetoni.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
2018, sure.
Yeah.
95 points.
Yeah.
From a local market.
And then we got a nice Rosso Toscana,
which is a
really
nice
good
red wine blend.
Yeah.
And are you representing a charity at all?
Yeah, so the charity that we have is the beeconservancy.org. Thank you, Mrs. It's a really great nonprofit that they do a lot of physical stuff in New York City, but they do worldwide outreach about basically the honeybee issue that we have right now with pesticides and other things that are eliminating our pollinators. Colony collapse. They're doing great stuff, though. They have a bunch of bee sanctuaries in New York City. They just opened this amazing looking bee-themed restaurant on one of the rooftops, and I desperately want to go.
A lot of people don't get that. If your vegetables don't get pollinated, the vegetables just don't grow.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Without bees, there's no food. So
Yeah.
Well, that's an awesome cause.
Yeah.
So what are we making? Spaghetti, meatballs? You guys do it very special though, so I'm kind of nervous.
Yeah.
You guys got to guide me through this.
This is a pretty special. This is Leslie's specialty. This is her recipe, start to finish, and I am just here to be the sous chef and to do dishes and to put things in the fridge when she hands them to me.
And to taste.
And to taste. And to eat a lot because I can't stop myself with this particular meal.
Yeah.
Do you want to get started? Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is a recipe that has been passed down to me through my mom, who is full Italian. And she comes from like full Italian lineage all the way down. Growing up, this was always a dish that she made for us on Sundays. It was something super special, something that we all sat around the table, and even though I wasn't of age, I would get like a little glass of wine, like a little bit, a little taste to go with my dinner. And I would help her make the meal from start to finish. And it can be a lengthy process, but most of the steps are pretty simple, and most of the ingredients, a lot of us have on hand. The specialty ingredient, like the lam shank, that's something that might be a little bit harder to find nowadays because of the food shortages. So if you don't have that, totally fine.
Yeah. You can make different like levels of it. So if you wanted to go lazy, you could, but like we typically don't. We typically do the meatballs from scratch and everything.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and
if I screw this up, seeing how important it is to you, you're gonna fly out here and punch me in the face.
Yeah, there will be retribution for any disappointments.
Well, I'm going to try my best. I promise.
Okay, that's it. That's the best that all of us can do. Really,
exactly.
Is just our best.
Our best.
Regardless of the outcome, we're here to have fun, to drink, and chat.
Yeah.
So my meatballs are in a pan. I think yours are all done.
Yes, mine are all done. They are browned and sitting in the hot oven right now, as well as my lamb shank. I browned my lamb shank in my Dutch oven, and I also foil wrapped it, set it aside in the oven. And finally, my sausage links. I have those browned, wrapped in the oven, ready to go at the step where we add them to the sauce.
Okay.
And I think you can agree that the meatballs are really, really easy to make. Like, really.
I literally just did it in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Less.
Yeah. 5 minutes less. And the nice thing is that you're not slaving away over the stove waiting for it all to finish completely, like cook through completely. You just want to get a nice browning on all sides, even though it'll still be raw in the middle. We're going to be adding that to the sauce, let it simmer, cook through. All of the flavors from the lamb, the beef, the pork, the sausage will all be, it'll all create like a lovely melange.
I've never heard that word before, but I'm literally going to use it in every scenario.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in a meeting tomorrow. Well, like, we need to really get down to the melange of the matter.
Yeah, that's
the melange of the meat.
The new corporate buzzword
is melange.
Thank God. So, do you guys want to walk me through how do we make the sauce?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it. I'll put you on the sauce cam.
The sauce cam? I like that.
Sauce cam.
Yeah.
Is live.
This guy right here. Spider's gonna help me. Him. Right here. All right. So we have my Dutch oven. My Dutch oven has gone through a series of different sears, different browning. So it's got all this lovely, the good brown stuff at the bottom, all the flavors of the lamb and the beef and the pork. We want to turn our burner onto about medium, maybe a little bit higher than that. And we want to add, I would say about two teaspoons of garlic. We usually go a little bit more garlic heavy because we love garlic. And garlic is one of those things I don't think you can really go wrong.
You can't overdo it.
You can't really overdo it. and I think that's what's so great about aromatics in general. When you have onions and you have garlic and you have fresh herbs, you know, it's all to your taste and to your preference. And if you don't like something, don't put it in.
Okay.
But of course, my recommendation is that you do add it in because I think it all works together in a beautiful way. So
we should be trying to kill a vampire then.
Yes.
Exactly. Kill a vampire every time.
Okay.
And the nice thing too is that if you have everyone in your household eating the exact same super garlicky thing, no one's going to be offensive to anyone.
Yeah, no.
You're all going to be offensive, and you're all going to have a great meal. And you know, yeah.
My wife would agree that I'm offensive, so.
You're offensive? Is that what you said?
Oh yeah. Regardless of garlic content.
Yeah.
We're very fond of our fond here, so always trying to scrape it all up.
Yeah. And that's okay if I don't scrape it all up. It'll all come loose eventually. But I have my garlic in there, and what I want to do is I just want to bring my Dutch oven back up to temperature. So medium, little over medium heat. Okay. And you want to put your garlic in your grease, and you want to sweat that garlic for a minute or two. You know, when it starts getting really, really fragrant and lovely, that's when you want to start adding in your tomatoes.
Okay.
The garlic is usually ready when I can smell it from the office. Just if you need a point of reference. That's when it's aromatic.
When the neighbors are calling to see if you're okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And my Dutch oven was off for a little bit, so it just needs to take a couple minutes.
Sure. Is that a Staub, or is that like a Crusette, or?
This one is actually Lodge.
Ooh.
What is super, super exciting about Lodge is that the knobs are interchangeable, and you could buy like really fancy, like silver or gold or really like farm animal type ones or something from Staub. The manufacturer makes special knobs for your pots, and you can interchange them. They just screw on like a screw.
Oh man, garlic's coming up.
Yeah, garlic's coming up. It's
Beautiful.
starting to sizzle.
Yep.
We'll just let this go for maybe another 45 seconds. I have my cans of tomatoes already opened on the side, ready to be poured in.
They're huge. They're the big old Cento brand
Yes.
crushed
I don't
tomatoes.
know if you can, well, I can't really see it.
There you
Can't
go.
really see it, but it's the 28-ounce size cans. I have 2 of those. And just for safe measure, I got a little small one on the side, but I'm not sure if I'll use that or not.
Does this get smooshed in eventually, or does the tomatoes stay whole?
The tomatoes should be crushed.
Okay.
In the can, they should already be crushed. If you happen to buy whole ones, though, you can still pour them in your pot with the garlic and take a tomato or a potato masher and just kind of crush them up a little bit. Or if you have like a motorized immersion blender, that would work too.
Fair. Okay.
So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my tomatoes. And honestly, if you didn't buy the Cento San Marzano tomatoes, that's okay. I mean, it's really just preference. These just happen to be the ones that I like. I like the quality of them. So I'm going to go ahead and add these. All right, I'm going to stir that up with my garlic and the reserved fat oil that was left over from my meat.
So we're not adding ketchup in this recipe at all?
No ketchup.
We're not going to do any ketchup in this recipe. Nope.
You can use it as a garnish later if you want.
Yeah. If this all
Make like a
goes
ketchup
south,
bouquet. Yeah.
if this all goes south, promise me you'll just post a picture of spaghetti with some ketchup on top and some
Yes.
cheese and everything. Fake it.
Microwave.
We'll all fake it.
You guys should tune in tomorrow. We're doing a boxed wine extravaganza tomorrow.
Oh, fun.
That sounds wonderful. Are you going to play Slap the Bag?
Okay. What is slap the bag? I've heard this before.
It really
All
isn't
right.
anything. It's really just something that you do when you get together with your friends or your coworkers and you've all had a few.
Yeah.
And you're all like, if someone in your group just says, "You there, you want to slap the bag?" And you just you all put the group pressure on the person to
Yep.
get down on their knees. You pull out the bag of wine from the box. They have to slap it real hard, and then they have to drink for as long as they can.
What?
This is based on a true story.
Based on a true
but
story,
There's a reason
past
I'm not in
coworkers.
finance anymore.
So, Andrew, do you hold the record for longest drink? Is that where we're going with this?
No, actually, I don't think I did it at all. I think it was all Leslie.
Wow.
Yeah, that was me.
So tomorrow I'm going to slap a bag in your honor if you can't make it.
Yes, that would
Yes,
be great.
please. All right.
And speaking of, is it wine time for the sauce?
It is wine time for the sauce. So I like to always balance my meals with the 4 major taste profiles that really take a meal from just okay to really, really, really good. And those 4 taste profiles are salty, sweet, acidic, and
Ketchup.
The fourth one.
what was the 4th one? I'm
Savory?
sorry, I've had a glass of wine. But basically, you want to incorporate as much flavor as you can into your meal. So we have our garlic, we have our fat and oil from the meat that we sauteed, we have our tomatoes. We're going to add some I'm adding Chianti, but you can add any red wine that is your favorite, just something that's not too sweet.
Yeah.
So you can get something that is, in the middle of sweet and dry, or err on the side of a little bit drier of a wine.
So are you adding a wine that you can also drink, or are you adding a cooking wine?
This is
the thing.
Drinking Chianti.
So I love to buy wine that I can both cook with and drink. I don't necessarily believe that has to be the case. So if you have like a cheap wine, a cheap red wine, and you just want to use it, then that's totally fine. Because we will have wine left over, I did go ahead and get a wine that I can drink later. Yeah. So we're just going to add, we're going to start with 1/4 cup. And we're going to stir that in.
That's a beautiful sauce.
Yeah. Wait till we add the herbs and the meat.
Oh, yeah.
So we got that. Next thing is balsamic vinegar.
Okay.
I love adding the balsamic for both its acidic and sweet properties. It doesn't matter what brand you use. The one that I'm using is, well,
hard to put on camera.
Can't really see it.
Drop it in.
I'll just drop it in. I don't know. It just came in a really nice bottle that I saw at the grocery store.
Fancy.
So, and we'll start with maybe 1/8 cup just to start, okay. But we'll most likely be adding a little bit more.
It's interesting too, because a lot of folks will add sugar to kind of break down the acidity of the tomato. I guess balsamic will do that.
Yes, definitely. And we do, I did include some sugar in the recipe because it's, if you want to incorporate the lovely, the fruity notes of the balsamic, but you don't want to go too heavy with that, you can kind of cut it with a little bit of sugar in the end if it still needs a little bit of sweetness. So you don't have to feel pressured to overdo any particular element.
Okay. Whenever I hear somebody talk about cutting food, I'm like, are we talking about food anymore, or is this like a meth?
Right.
All right.
It's kind of methy anyways.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very methy.
It's addictive.
Yeah.
It's got that going for it. So we have that. And then I have 2 small cans of tomato paste.
Okay.
I'm not going to add all of it just yet, because what'll happen is that once I add my meatballs and my lamb and my sausage, some of the liquid in those items will come out and thin the sauce a little bit as well. So I'm not going to add all of the tomato paste just yet, but I am going to add a good dollop of it.
Are you just going to skip by how cute that spatula was for your tomato paste?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. This little guy right here. Perfect.
That's adorable.
All occasion. Yeah. Perfect for any size can you have.
She has an entire array of adorable, cute little kitchenware gadgets and utensils that are just very useful, honestly.
I do.
I'm jealous. I saw you whip that thing. I saw you whip that thing out, and you were turning it around. I'm like, Amazon. I'm gonna buy that shit.
Yes. Amazon is where I did get it.
And Lake Crusette.
This one I did get from Amazon, but I think Lake Crusette also makes them. Amazon sells them in cute little multi-packs. So you get like a little mini spatula, a little mini spoon, a basting brush, and I think like another little spatula. So, $15 on Amazon. Can't beat it. So, yeah. The next thing I'm going to add is my fresh herbs.
Okay.
And the fresh herbs that I have a little bit of everything. I have with me right now a little baby bundle of fresh oregano.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, tied with
Did you
its
buy
own
it or grow it?
oregano. I did not grow it. I bought it. But it's still sweet and good and wholesome.
I think when you own the most adorable spatula on the face of the earth, it's reasonable to assume you grew your own oregano.
Oh, yes. Well,
Not quite.
wait till I own my own house.
Yeah.
I am going to be the botanical mistress
Yeah.
of my neighborhood.
Botanical mistress. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, Missy, we can hear
And
you
you know,
singing.
you can add so with the fresh oregano, I like to add I like to keep it on the stems as much as possible with all of my herbs because there's a lot of flavor in the stems. And,
Okay.
you know, of course, before you go to serve it to someone, you know, you're not going to be serving them the stems. So you know, take those out and put them off to the side. But for the
Okay.
flavor of the sauce, you want to incorporate the stems. I just think it makes it a lot easier. You know, these little oregano leaves are so tiny. There's no point in chopping them up.
Yeah.
They're just little. So I add a little bit of that. The next herb is thyme. And I have this little bundle of thyme.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So we're going to add that. The next herb is fresh bay leaves. And I have 2 little bay leaves right here.
Yep.
So I'm going to add that. The next herb, what I did with the sage and the rosemary is the sage, because the leaves are large and I want to get as much of their flavor into the sauce as possible, I'm not going to incorporate them whole. Bay leaves
Okay.
are a little bit different. You can leave them whole. I mean, they're just spicy and good. Their flavor will get in there. But with sage, what I did was I rolled up my leaves
Yep.
into a little parcel on my cutting board, and I just cut ribbons. I just cut ribbons of my sage. So I'm going to add my sage. And if you're going off of quantities, so I have 2 bay leaves. I have about a teaspoon of sage. I have a few small sprigs of thyme, a few sprigs, like 2 or 3 of the oregano tied together. And the next herb is going to be the rosemary. And I have about maybe a half a teaspoon. And I did chop that up. The next thing we're going to add is our basil. The same thing that I did with the sage leaves when I cut them into ribbons, I did with my basil leaves as well. And all of this is to taste and to preference, but you know, you can start with the amount that I outlined in the recipe and go from there, or you know, however. Next thing I'm going to add is a little bit of chili pepper flakes, red chili pepper. And this is also to taste because a lot of people don't like super, super spicy things. And that's totally understandable.
Okay.
Some of us like it really spicy.
Yeah.
So for us, for our purposes, I'm going to add 2 big pinchfuls of red pepper flakes.
Now, for
So
people that don't cook with red pepper flakes, that's a lot of pepper flakes.
Yes, it
Awesome.
is.
That's awesome.
And then I am going to let that continue to simmer. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull out the meat that I prepped earlier.
Okay.
Ugh. Get this guy out of the way. Let me start with my lamb. Let me show you what I did to my lamb.
Let me show you what I did. Oh, yeah.
So this, where's the thing? There it is.
That's sexy.
Yeah, right? That's a good looking lamb shank, right? So I browned it on all sides. And it did leak a little bit more of its juices. And that's totally, totally good and fine because I'm going to add it all. So I'm going to take my lamb and I'm just going to put it right there. Just right off to the side of my pot, right there.
Cool.
We'll add all that flavor back in. Okay. Next thing I'm going to take out is my sausage. And I'm going to add my sausage in.
You've already pre-browned your sausage. Did you do that in the pan or the oven?
I did that in my Dutch oven. Yeah. So I did a little bit more sausage than normal, but honestly, with this amount of gravy, you could do about two whole sausage links of mild Italian and 2 whole spicy Italian. And that should give a good amount for everyone. And what I did was I browned them. I put them in a little thing off to the side.
Beautiful.
I had cut them into quarters. So little pieces, perfect serving size. Just going to arrange them. Just arrange them around my lamb. And as you can probably tell, my sauce is up to a simmer right now.
Beautiful. Yeah.
My sausages also, a lot of the juice came out of them. So I will add just a little bit, not all of it, because it's quite a bit. And I'll just do, so you can do as much sausage as you want, as many people as you're going to feed.
I just did something for Lock Down Your Life, who's in the chat right now. She's criticizing me for drinking my wine too quickly.
Oh. No, there's no criticism. There can't be any criticism for that.
Party foul.
All right. So I'm going to push my sausage links down to the bottom of my pot. Because what this is going to do is it's going to make room for my meatballs. And so the next thing I'm going to pull out is my meatballs.
This is the part where I get concerned about, is the Dutch oven big enough for what we're doing to it right now? Are we going to be able to put them all in? Is it going to be a close call?
And I'm going to show you my meatballs.
You're the security guy trying to figure out the threat model for the
exactly.
gravy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I have them all browned and ready to go. Not necessarily cooked all the way through, though I did have these sitting in the hot oven, just so they weren't, sitting out raw. And I'm just going to arrange my meatballs all around the lamb.
So I have to ask you, this amount of care that you're putting into this dish, you mentioned that you used to do this pretty much every Sunday. Was it really the same structure every time?
It was. Yeah, it was. The one difference that I would have to say was sometimes my mom would do lamb, and sometimes she would make what we call brujol.
So
and
I've seen it on The Sopranos. I have no idea what brujol is.
Yes. So I added my meatballs. I'm just going to put the lid on to keep it from splattering everywhere. So my mom would make brujol. And brujol was a fascinating thing. She would buy a very thin cut of steak.
Yeah.
And she would hammer it out to where it was maybe like between 1 inch and 1/4 thick, probably about an inch, or I'm sorry, 1/8 of an inch thick. And she would make a mixture of fresh parsley, freshly grated Parmesan cheese, and garlic. And she would make this mixture, and she would kind of like you were making a cinnamon roll. You know, you roll out your dough and then you spread the filling on the inside and then you roll it up. And that's what she did. She would make this basically a roll up of very thin steak that was filled with this garlic mixture.
Wow.
And she would tie it in a couple different places with twine to keep it together. And she would drop that in the pot and she would let that kind of meld with the rest of the stuff in the pot. And then when it came time to serve, she would pull this big roll up out of the pot and she would put it on the cutting
Beef
board.
roll up.
Yeah. And she would cut pinwheels for everybody.
Wow.
Before we served ourselves. Yeah. So we'd have like basically little steak pinwheels flavored with garlic and fresh parsley and cheese.
I mean, what could be better?
I don't know. I really don't know. But I have to say, growing up with this kind of food was so wholesome for me. Sure. Growing up, it was difficult. We didn't have too many opportunities to do a lot of stuff as a family. But this was always an event that brought all of us to the table. And, when it's Sunday and you've got like a fresh pot of sauce going on the stove and, there's a football game on or a good movie and you're all talking and having a glass of wine together. It's a pretty lovely thing.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Families aren't perfect. My family wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but this was one thing I think my family did right.
Yeah.
Very cool. So did that turn you into the cook that you are?
It was one of the things that did heavily influence me.
Yeah.
Into pursuing a profession in the food industry. And, I had several influences. This was one of them that helped me grow up not being afraid of cooking. Because I know that is a true fear for many people.
Yeah, a lot of folks. I think it's fear of failure sometimes. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I can't tell you how many times I've failed. I can't tell you how many times I've put a lot of hours into something only to have it fail. And then, you cry a little bit, but you try to pull yourself back together and you try to understand that it's a learning moment. And not everything's going to turn out perfectly, and that's okay. Every time you step into your kitchen, every time you pull out your pots and pans and you put your effort into something, you are learning every step of the way. It doesn't matter if it comes out perfectly. If it doesn't come out perfectly, most likely you'll know why and you'll know what to do for the next time. So, yeah.
The way she talks about cooking and food is the way that I talk about security. So talking about failure and learning and every opportunity or every time you try something, you're going to be learning and whether or not what the outcome is.
Yeah. And so what I did was I set a timer for 15 minutes.
Okay.
15. I have my lid on and I can hear it simmering away. Right now, I did reduce my temperature to about medium low because I can hear it bubbling.
Folks are asking in chat, how do they follow you on Twitter?
Oh, follow me on Twitter.
Oh, man.
Well,
she's not typically active, but I think you should be because you need to start posting pictures of this food because I've been posting it and then getting all the credit. And I mean, that's fine, but I think you should.
It's weird because Andrew messaged me the other day and he said that you never cook and you suck at it.
Yeah, I did do that.
Of course.
There was like a second there that was...
The so-called extrovert is telling me is telling me this. Sure. No. No, I for health reasons, mental health reasons, with all of the oppressive sadness in the news and the social media and everything, I have been staying away from it a little bit lately. However, if there's enough people that appreciate this, I can definitely find the time and definitely find the passion to teach more, because it's good stuff to know.
Yeah.
It's good stuff to know when you are venturing off to college for the first time. It's good stuff to know. Just basic principles: how to brown something, how to sweat an aromatic,
Mm-hmm. how to do anything in the oven without having it stick and become welded to the pan is always nice to know. Oh, parchment paper, that's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, if there's a good enough response, I have no problem. If there's any questions anyone has for me or any requests, I'd be more than happy.
So we can all stalk Andrew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can stalk him. That's fine.
Stalk him.
You will
harass him.
You will just you will just get me shouting into the void about things that I can't change.
And it's funny, Keenan's in the chat right now, and she's a bit of a baker, and they're psychopaths. I don't have, and so is Lock Down Your Life, so they're probably going to abuse me really bad for the baker comment, but bakers are just kitchen hipsters as far as I'm concerned. But between you guys, is there a chef, a cook, and a baker? Or is it
hang on. There you go.
Yeah.
So you're the Swiss Army knife?
I am the Swiss Army knife. Baking, cooking, whatever this is. Swiss Army knife of anything, yeah.
I just handle anything with a plug. That's my responsibility for the house.
Which is huge. We all have special things that we bring to the table. I have no idea what to do when it comes to technical things most of the time. I've learned a lot through Andy, but and I think he's learned a lot through me, and it's just learning from each other. Geeks
are important. I've always said that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Everyone is one to some degree in some respect.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting beat down in the chat right now, but all you bakers can shut your face. I've had enough now. I'm kidding, Shannon. Do not remove me from your list, your Christmas list.
Oh.
So Lock Down Your Life. She's an amazing baker, and she sends cookies every year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
She's intimated that I'm going to be off the list, so I'm teetering on the edge of destruction.
Oh, no, don't lose that privilege.
No, you can't.
You don't lose that privilege.
I don't know what I would do without, the Nutella brownies that she used to bake, or, just anything that goes into that oven always comes out amazing.
Yeah. It's good.
So what part of security do you do, Andrew?
It's all web stuff for the most part. I work for Real Self here in Seattle, and I'm their security architect. So I handle all the privacy and security issues that come up for our production site, internal questions, dealing with third parties and vendors. I'm really, really happy with the autonomy that they give me, and I really get a lot of support from the executives and from management, and just, for instance, Cybersecurity Awareness Month is like the lamest. It's so lame. I'm sorry. It's just lame. So for October, we always rebrand October as Hacktoberfest, and we do a lot of teaching teaching our, we have salespeople right now that are running in a juice shop, capture the flag team competition that we're doing across the entire company. So we like to, reach out and get people excited about hacking and about security, and get them thinking about it. It's just like a lot of people leaving for college, having no idea how to use a stove. There's plenty of people that are out there developing applications that have no concept of how their application could possibly be used against them or against other people.
Yeah, and when you equip yourself with just a little bit of knowledge here and there, it can propel you forwards in good directions.
Yeah, Absolutely. I love showing people, I do like, security awareness trainings every month. And I love putting together little clip shows from like Mr. Robot. Like, here's a bunch of really wild hacks. All those are real. Or here's, some CCTV footage of Jason Street doing a penetration test against a bank. And people are just stunned when they see him just walk in and like sit down next to a teller and start doing stuff, and nobody asks him why he's there.
Physical hacking was funny for me, and it really started, when Mitnick got busted for, voicing his way into Novell and getting source, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of made me figure out, like, at the time I was a bouncer. Mm-hmm. It's like everybody coming up to the door and giving a fake ID, they're doing a physical hack. They're trying to pass themselves off. And it took me a long time to get over that. And people are like, oh, I do pen testing. I do physical pen testing. I'm like, what, do you open a fucking door? Like, what do you do physical pen testing? Yeah. It takes a kind of a long time to appreciate, the kind of brain, the kind of person, the kind of strategy, and the kind of confidence, that you need to walk into somewhere and be a physical pen tester. Mm-hmm. It's almost your Alec Baldwin. You're playing this amazing role.
Yeah.
So, I've always enjoyed that part of physical security.
I don't think I have the temperament for that. I would just hyperventilate, and if I got through a locked door, I would be so terrified that I'm just going to open that door and there's going to be 10 people there staring at me. I just have the anxiety would just be too much.
A good friend of mine, when he first started out in the industry, he was doing a physical pen test, and he walked up to the door, and there was a sign on the door that said, "This building is protected by the Second Amendment." So he kind of he touched the door and went ticka ticka ticka, pass. They're good. Security is an interesting business.
Yeah.
Like IR, and it's weird when folks are like, oh, you're in, and I'm not in IT. Like, I'm not in any technical role at all anymore. But it's funny when people are like, oh, you do IT, you're probably help desk. You're like, shut your face. No. There's so many different levels. Organizationally, So, God bless you for doing it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. The help desk is such an untapped resource, I think. That's where I came from. I came from a help desk. I came from sales. And then I went to a help desk, and then I went into security. And I was having a conversation with one of our salespeople about it, and it's just the help desk and sales are both such great recruiting pools for security. And we notice that when we get some of these salespeople coming in and doing juice shop, or after the security awareness training, they're just sending me questions, and I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want. I want engagement. I want you to ask questions. I want you to be curious and to explore this whole subject that you've been unaware of.
It's funny that you went from sales you went from the revenue generation to cost center. And cost center gets relegated to the weird ones in the back, and shut your face, we'll get to you when we're done with the sale.
Exactly.
Was that a difficult transition to go from having pretty much unlimited support to being like, we'll get to you when we get to you?
Well, my path was, I was a corporate business manager for Apple for almost 5 years.
Wow.
And
Great.
When I started, the role was all centered around being like the most incredible customer service that you could imagine. They didn't even really focus that much on sales. It was like, you're there to teach people about Macs. You're there to talk people about their problems and find solutions for them. But then after Steve died, this was around the time Steve died, that started to turn more and more into a year-over-year growth kind of hard sales. And that wasn't my jam at all. So I took a pay cut, and I got a job at a financial company on the help desk. And I was like, this is where I need to be, because I like receiving problems and figuring out a solution for them, and not having to make a certain amount of money for the company while doing it.
And I'm not changing the topic at all. I turned my water on to boil, so I can start my pasta.
Oh, good.
Gotcha.
Yes. That was one thing I was going to mention, is that while this is going, you can have your pot of water going as well, just for that moment when you got to put it all in.
And so, Leslie, what do you do? I wish I literally have a red stapler downstairs. I'd be like, so, what is it you say you do around here?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I was a
COVID layoff.
A COVID layoff.
Okay.
But
that happened.
Before I was in recruiting, and I actually worked for Real Self, Andy's company, and I worked in the recruiting department, and just had a great time learning from that community. Even though it wasn't a food industry position, I still learned a lot, and it was great to be around people, and it was just a great time. I would have to say, if I had to put a profession label on myself, I am a pastry chef.
Yeah.
No.
Through and through. Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst of the bakers.
I know, and I don't want to hear any of this hamster on the wheel stuff.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Okay.
Ugh.
There is just as much passion and good stuff that goes into baking as cooking or as an IT security or what is that?
Measure. Weigh 1.2 grams.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's over here with her little actuarial tables and her calculator, and she's got her glasses on.
This is just one little point I'm going to make. This is just another learning point.
Yep.
Oh, yes, please. Please tell them this.
Okay.
So Keenan Skelly in the chat is also a pastry chef. So you have a ninja supporting you right now.
Yes. Oh, good. Gotta keep the profession strong here. You gotta band together, like all the IT people band together.
Yeah, we always do.
This is just one little point I'm gonna put out there because I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah.
Sure.
I read a lot of blogs and read people's recipes, and I'm constantly trying new things, and I'm constantly reinventing things. When in a recipe, it says you need to say one cup of milk for your recipe.
Yeah.
Use a liquid measuring cup. Okay. Not this guy. This guy is what you want to use for your dry ingredients, your flour, your whatever else that's dry.
What's the difference?
The difference
Volume.
is volume.
Okay.
Yeah, the difference is going to be volume. So if you put a cup of milk in this guy and measured it on a kitchen scale, it'll come out to be it'll be different than if you did it in here. It'll be, this is more exact. So that's the reason why these two things exist. So I see a lot of people measure milk and other wet ingredients with these guys. Try to stick with this guy. It'll help your recipes come out a lot more precise.
Clean, I'm sure. Precise?
Yeah.
You eat bakers in your preciseness. God bless all of you.
Not everything has to be precise. Not everything. Important things like flour, baking soda, that kind of stuff, you want to make sure you do a good job, keep it precise. When it comes to something like flavors, like vanilla extract or cinnamon, or I'm a fan of doing that to your liking. So one thing I do when I am baking and cooking is I taste all the way through it, which I'm going to do here in a minute. I'm going to taste this. Because everybody's tastes are different. Mm-hmm. Some people like a little bit more cinnamon than other people. Some people like a little bit more red chili flakes than other people. And that's okay. That's all. My PSA for the moment.
You're done?
Yeah.
Off your soapbox.
That's all I got.
How's yours coming along?
Stupid good.
Nice.
Yeah?
Actually needs a little more sweetness.
Yeah, so the one thing I haven't done yet, you'll notice I did not add my salt yet. I did not add my salt, and I haven't actually tasted this for sugar or like sweetness level or anything like that. And I'm going to do that now. I wanted to give this a moment to kind of
That looks pretty.
cook, that 15 minutes to come together, and also cook the meat through a little bit more before I taste test. And I'm just going to taste it. I know there's no salt. I know that I haven't put any additional sugar or anything like that, but I'm going to taste it anyway.
And I want to point out that the only vegetable that you have in here is tomato.
Yes.
Yes, correct. And a lot of people will incorporate fresh carrot.
Cool. For sweetness.
I've seen, I know people who will incorporate fresh carrot or, whatever else, even bell pepper. The carrot, I would have to say, is another great, easy way to incorporate sweetness into your dish. Because carrots are just naturally super, super sweet, take a whole carrot, peel it, cut it in half, toss it in your pot, let it come together with the rest of the stuff in there, and it will incorporate sweetness. Perhaps not as much as you need. Like, you may have to still put balsamic vinegar for that, get a more of a rounded flavor. But yeah, the only
Can't be wrong.
the only vegetable I've added is tomatoes.
So I did chew that. I did add an onion. I didn't tell you about it.
Oh, secret onion?
Oh, you're an onion person.
It's easier to say sorry than may I, so I just threw it in there, hoping you wouldn't fly out here and punch me.
Get it out of there.
Yeah.
Get it out.
No, that's totally fine. And that's another great thing. So a lot of spaghetti recipes, a lot of people, with their family recipes, will add onion. They will saute their onion with their garlic, and they'll incorporate it in their meatballs or in the sauce itself. Totally fine. For some reason, when I was growing up with my mom, that just wasn't part of her recipe. And it doesn't mean anything bad. It's just whatever you like. If that's an element that you really feel should be in there, go for it. The only thing that I would say to recommend is when you're incorporating aromatics like garlic and onion, really sweat them. Like, make them work for you.
Fair.
There's a lot of people that I see will make a recipe. They'll have both garlic powder and minced garlic, chopped garlic, whatever. And I'd have to say that that's a little redundant. What you want to do is really make your aromatics work for you. And to do that, that's why we sweat the garlic in the beginning before we add our tomatoes.
Fair.
It just makes their flavor come alive. And it's true for onions and for other aromatics of the same sort.
So I put on my pasta, by the way.
Nice.
You do? Oh, you put in your pasta? Good.
We hate watch a lot of awful YouTube chefs. And I gotta say, it's probably the most entertaining thing in the world to just watch her watch those people. Because she's just screaming at the TV. You didn't sweat the garlic. What are you doing? It's not going to do it. You're not even going to taste it. I love it. It's great. It's so entertaining.
Did you guys hear that Bobby Flay didn't get renewed to be on the cooking channel?
No, why was that?
Apparently they hate his guts. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Oh, Bobby.
Oh, Bobby. What you doing, Bobby?
Oh, my gosh.
I think him and Giada are a thing, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
I have been smelling all of this all day. It's just been meatballs and Italian sausage
Would you
and
mind getting the
lunch.
spaghetti?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean.
Yeah, good.
So I'm going to set the timer for another 15 minutes. And ideally, this is something that you can let simmer for an hour, hour 15 if you wanted. If you had the time and you wanted to do that, totally fine. If like for our purposes, if we want to pull it a little sooner, that's totally okay as well. Because by now, all the flavors have pretty well incorporated. The thing that I saved last is salt.
Yeah.
I didn't add my salt at the very, very beginning. And the reason being, the salt can, if left in the pot to cook for longer, it can increase its intensity, its saltiness.
Fair. Yeah.
So what I like to do is just save that for last, after I've tasted, after I'm satisfied with everything so far. And like I said, if the acidity in the tomatoes is like too like if it's making you pucker, or if there's something missing and you can't figure out what that thing is, an easy thing to do, just add a little bit more balsamic or add a little bit more wine. It's the easiest thing to do. What I'm doing here, this is not in the recipe, but it is optional, and I think it should be in the recipe. One thing my mom always did for her pots of spaghetti, she would get a rind of Parmesan.
Parmigiano Reggiano.
Yep, and she would stick it in the pot, and it's just the rind, and that also helps to flavor the sauce. Because a lot of people will put cheese directly in their sauce, and that's totally okay. So now I'm going to taste it.
Like Andrew's sitting there going, "You can taste it, but I can't." Is that how
no,
we're
I'm just watching. Haven't eaten anything all day except for some grapes. Just been smelling meatballs all day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
But it makes the reward that much sweeter.
It does.
And just add a little bit more salt. I just have a little baby spoon. Well, can't see it. Little baby spoon. I always start with the least amount first. Like just add a teaspoon for this size pot. Start with that. Let it incorporate. Taste it. If you need more, add more. The hardest thing to do is take back salt.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing. It can be corrected by adding a little bit more acidity, but always err on the side of caution with salt. Salt's really hard to fix sometimes.
Actually, I just need to clean my knife. Hang on.
Oh yeah. Andy, do you want to put the spaghetti in? Yeah. Let me know what it needs. I think it needs a little bit more salt.
Yeah.
It needs a little bit
Andrew
more.
jumping in there like a carnivore. Feed me.
Oh my god. I think it's amazing. Oh man.
You can't tell in one spoonful. You got to get in there with at least 2, 3.
Oh yeah, big spoonfuls. And we usually use a fresh pasta, so not dried, but from Carso's, which is a local Seattle pasta manufacturer. I don't know what the term is for that.
Yeah, and it's okay to use dried pasta. That's totally fine. When I go through hours of prep work or, go to this extent to make something, I like to go the extra mile. And the nice thing about fresh pastas is that they take about 3 minutes to cook versus 9 to 11. Do basic.
That's right. When I put mine down at like 7:30 or 7:54, I was like, "Oh, I should have done this a while ago." But oh well.
Oh.
Just means the sauce gets to mature a little bit more. That's all.
Yeah.
Do you want the lid on there?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm sure you already salted the water.
I did.
Yep. You're always good at that. I always forget. I always forget to salt the pasta water, like every time. So.
So Keenan actually has a question, and she says, "What are your thoughts about squid ink dried pasta?"
Oh.
Ooh, squid ink dried pasta. It is. I personally think that it's fantastic.
Okay.
There are many people who will be a little averse to that idea because, when you say anything about incorporating a fish element, people get a little nervous about that kind of a thing. But I would say that for me personally, I really appreciate it. There's a really nice, almost like a salty type flavor that's incorporated into the pasta that wouldn't be there otherwise. And I think it can create a very dramatic looking dish.
Yeah.
And I think that it can add an element that, is unique and sets your dish apart and maybe be that wow factor for you. And if you really like it, by all means, buy it, love it, make it for yourself, even if you're not having company over. It's easy to find, easier nowadays to find squid ink pasta. And yeah, I think for when it comes to a red sauce like this, I would probably do a regular pasta, regular spaghetti.
Not like
it doesn't have to be that way. What?
I'm chewing bread like a prisoner. So not like a darkened pasta.
Yeah, for a red sauce like this, I would say, go with your standard spaghetti that you would find. But I think if you like it with this pudding pasta, I don't think that you deserve any criticism for that. I think if you like it, you like it, and I think that's all.
The only kitchen criticism that's available is for pastry chefs.
and people that eat spaghetti with ketchup. I mean,
that I would have a lot to say about.
That's entirely fair. Entirely fair.
But yeah, so Andy added my pasta for me, the spaghetti, into the pot.
About 3 minutes.
I think I'm probably about 7 minutes away from plating.
Oh,
okay,
great.
No worries. Because what we can do is we can still drain our pasta. Nice thing to do when you have pasta, let's say your pasta finishes a little bit early, drain it, toss it back in the pot. Andy, if it tastes good, go ahead and drain it and then put it back in the pot. Put your pasta back in the pot after you drained it and add a little bit of olive oil, a good drizzle of olive oil. And that'll keep your noodles from sticking and, add an extra depth.
Can I be honest? So far, my favorite thing is you just stepped away from the camera and you just looked at Andrew and you're like, go do that. Andrew's like, yes, man.
That's exactly I know what to do in the kitchen, and it's to listen to her, and it's to be in between her and the fridge so that she can hand stuff to me and I can put it in the fridge.
Yes.
That's fine.
He's updated his threat model for you, and it's all courts are open. Allow.
Allow.
Yeah. It's true. Right. Don't question, just allow.
Nope, just do it.
So would you serve this on a huge plate, or is this a bowl kind of dish? Or?
So I would say if I had my whole family here.
Yeah.
And, there's at least 5 of us or something. And we have salad and we have wine and we have bread and we have the whole table laid out.
Yep.
Go ahead and serve it on a decorative platter. It's easy to do.
Family style.
Yeah, just do a family style and make it easy. Oh.
She can't hear.
I can't hear. I lost my ear. Got it. Since it's just me and Andy tonight,
we're still going to put it on a big platter and I'm going to eat it all.
That's not a joke.
I will have a big platter.
I made a joke while we were kind of waiting to go live. He's like, "Oh, I'm the guy that eats everything." I'm like, "Oh, you can tell from how huge you are, but it's always the skinny ones that can pack down the most."
I used to be skinny. COVID took something from me.
No, COVID took everything from us. But yeah, for me and Andy, because it's just the 2 of us, I already have my bowls prepped and off to the side here. I have napkins, silverware. And what I would do is, we've already drained the pasta, put some olive oil on it. When it comes time to serve it, get a nice big serving of noodles, put it in the bottom, get a ladle out some sauce and sausage and meatballs, and you can move the lamb to a cutting board, cut off little bits of it. Yeah. And when it comes to the lamb, I really appreciate the bone-in lamb shank, if it's possible for you to get, because the bones of anything, the bones of a chicken, the bones of beef, the bones of lamb, have immense flavor and can up the ante of anything that you're making. It just makes it really, really lovely.
So do you make ossobuco?
I remember if we made that once.
I don't think so.
No. It's like veal tail.
Yeah, no. I don't think I've ever made it.
The only reason I asked is because
we
were talking. A good friend of mine, Luana, who's a chef.
Yeah.
I ate it from her. I ate it from her once, and it was phenomenal. I've never seen it since. So I haven't really spoken to a good Italian chef in a long time.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Oh. I'm sure it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell it to me like a story.
Yeah.
What did it taste like?
Paint her a word picture.
Yeah.
So I kind of reckon it. There was an element of like vegetable, of tomato, kind of like acidity.
Yeah.
But it was when you eat a steak,
mm-hmm.
and the fattiness that you kind of feel in your mouth,
mm-hmm.
that's like super flavorful. That isn't cloying. It's what you expect. It's kind of like what you enjoy. Like after the texture is gone. Ossobuco was that the entire way through. It was mouth happiness.
Yes. It's
really
rich.
enjoyed it.
I imagine it was rich. Whenever you're cooking with bones, anything with a bone or certain cuts of meat, I mean, you're going to get that richness come through, that mouth feel, and you're going to appreciate it and, probably get that overstuffed feeling later on, because I think that's a pretty expected thing, especially when you're making pasta like this, like spaghetti, big pot with lamb and, other kinds of meat. It's like this huge meal and you're going to feel really full and satisfied after. And I can only imagine how that mouthfeel that you're describing felt. It was just satisfying.
For her husband and I were, I'm not a gambler by any stretch, but we had gone to the casino, and I'm originally from Ontario, Canada. So we were up at Casino Rama, just north of Barrie, Ontario, and we went to the poker room, and I got really lucky, and I won a bunch of money.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it'll never happen again. It was just that was my casino moment. Everybody has that moment where they won $20 on the penny slot. That was my moment in the casino. Well, we stopped on the way home at the liquor store, and I bought a $300 bottle of wine.
Okay. Celebrate!
It wasn't my money. I didn't care. I didn't care a thing about it. So, we go back to their house and have some ossobuco and this ridiculous wine.
Yeah,
it was a good experience.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. I mean, I've never won anything on like slots or like any kind of gambling or anything. I've never,
except for Andrew.
I keep telling him he needs to learn how to count cards.
Yeah, I'm not a math person.
That's true.
I think that's a prerequisite.
But
that's good. So if you're a programmer and you had to do like mathematical like allocation of space to RAM, you'd probably be a better gambler.
No. There's other people. I know good people that can do that, and I can ask them those questions, and that's where strength is. I I would just sit in front of this Dutch oven and just eat spoonfuls of this before it even gets on the noodle.
Can't blame you at all, brother.
Yeah.
Let's do a little bit more balsamic.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You ready?
You ready to plate?
Yep.
I think we are too.
Yeah. Get some spaghetti on the plates.
Yeah. I'm gonna remove this lamb shank.
Yeah.
Put it.
On board.
Yeah. Let me get a board for that. I'm behind you, by the way.
Okay.
So don't move.
I'm moving.
Actually.
There's moments where I cooked the exact amount of pasta that I should have.
You need tongs?
Yeah.
Yeah, take 'em.
Thank you.
I'll just use my hands to get you right out of here.
Here you go.
Nice.
I'm behind you.
This is my favorite part of my unicorn chef. It's the frantic push for plating.
Yeah.
Yes. It's always great seeing that final presentation come together. Seeing all that hard work and love that you put into something.
It's like when you get the right Docker Compose file and everything comes up at the same time and there's no errors and Elasticsearch is talking to everything. Oh man, it's just beautiful.
How often does that happen?
Never. It's
Okay.
I've done it once and it said hello world and that was it.
That hello word,
It said
hello
hello
world
world.
joke is my favorite joke. It's like introduction to like Unix shell kind of joke.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get our spaghetti. We'll get our ladle. Let's get a good ladle full of sauce on there.
Oh, yeah.
Get a couple of sausages. A couple meatballs.
Can you give Andrew some extra tonight? The kid's starving.
Yeah. Right.
Yes. Oh, he'll probably have thirds.
Yeah.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah.
So we have our sausage and our meatballs, and we're gonna I moved my lamb shank to a cutting board and I cut some pieces off of it.
Very nice.
So I'm just gonna give him a nice piece there. And then also in the recipe, I recommended getting like a good chunk of proper Parmesan.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say
There you go. Proper farm.
Yeah. And that adds like an extra element of something.
Cool.
You want to do a good sprinkle. Andy, tell me when to stop.
It's going to be a while. I want those mountains to be snow covered. That's good. Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
All
Did you
right.
say you want those mountains to be snow covered?
Yes.
He did.
That's awesome.
You should see the waiter when they at an Italian restaurant when he comes by for Leslie, because he's there for a while.
He's there for a while. No, I will finish. I have been known to empty out, like when you go to an Italian restaurant and they have like the two little shakers, one Parmesan, one red pepper. I've been known to empty the little Parmesan shaker.
Goodness.
I love it. I love cheese. No
mean,
problem.
Cheese is phenomenal.
And then I always finish it also with a little bit of fresh parsley, just because the freshness element is really something to appreciate here as well. If you're not going to be serving this with salad or anything, parsley is a nice palate refresher too when you are dealing with a lot of really fatty type cuts of meat or you know, we have like sausage, and we have a nice, you know, kind of fatty sort of piece of lamb here. Something fresh to kind of cut it or brighten it on your palate. Yeah, that's a good word. Is something to appreciate here too. And it's just something super simple, you know. I don't always have fresh herbs, and that's another thing too. I know a lot of people don't have access to it.
Well, you're not growing your own.
Yeah,
exactly. Or you have to grow your own. And that can be hard too. Keeping herbs alive is no joke. Yeah. You know, those little basil plants, you know. I'm looking at this one that I bought, this basil plant that I bought today.
It might be there tomorrow.
It might not be there tomorrow.
But hopefully your kitty cats don't snack it.
Yeah.
Oh no, they don't like anything like that. Thank goodness. And we've trained them to stay off counters, which is good.
So we have to take a picture of our dish together.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
We're ready. Andy? Yeah, we can hold it up. I think we've got good. Getting close here.
Yeah, look at that. That's lovely.
Yeah, it looks great.
Love it. Love it.
I have to try it because I've been trying the sauce all the way through, and it's stupid good.
Yeah, I'm gonna dig in here. It's gonna disappear very quickly.
Like you said, it is stupid good. It is stupid good that you can combine several kinds of meat into something and have it come out tasting like such a good.
And you knocked it out of the park. This is perfect.
Yeah. How are the meatballs?
Really good.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
She hasn't made meatballs in a while. I have missed them so much.
The meatballs, super simple, you know, like 4 or 5 ingredients. And if you don't have ground pork on hand, just use ground meat. I used an 85% fat for my meatballs. I didn't want to go too lean because I wanted that flavor. That flavor is in the fat. And yeah, this isn't a super healthy meal, but nice thing about making this from home is that you can control things like sodium and sugar and things like that go into it. So you do have some control over that. So that's something to feel good about when you have a huge bowl of this, is that you've made it. You know what's in it. It's not a mystery. And yeah.
I'll be honest, I was super skeptical about thyme and sage. Because when I cook, thyme and sage for me is like a pork dish. It's like a So thyme and sage are now going in all my Italian kind of dishes. It is beautiful together.
It's great.
Good, yeah. It's there's something to be had for the spiciness that you know, sage has, like a little bit of a spiciness, and then thyme has like that woody. Foresty kind of like it's great. Sure. It's great. And you know, start off with a modest amount and then
Andrew, can you put the bowl down? Jesus Christ, like you've never eaten before.
I'm eating dinner. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, he's got dinner. He's
literally doing this. He's like,
yeah.
Sure.
He's gonna be doing that for an hour. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
One other thing I didn't show was that I did buy a rustic bread loaf, and I did slice it. What I did before we started the stream was in a little cast iron dish that I have, a little baking dish, I put in some big cloves of garlic. Like I took 2 huge heads of garlic. I separated all the cloves, smashed them with the butt of my knife, removed the paper, put them in the little dish. Then I took 2 heads of garlic. I sliced off the top of the head, put that in the dish as well, covered it in oil, baked it for 20 minutes at 325. And I now have prepped garlic for garlic bread, for my rustic bread that I cut up. So I have, with a basting brush, I used that good olive oil, now just completely absorbed with that garlic, and basted all of my bread, put a little bit of fresh parsley and some of the garlic cloves on top, and that's going to be our garlic bread.
Yeah.
So basically, you're ready to go to New Orleans and fight Anne Rice. Is that?
Yes.
So do you guys want to talk about your charity one more time?
Yeah. So thebeeconservancy.org, they're huge, impactful work that they're doing to save pollinators from colony collapse, pesticides, things like that. So definitely great to support.
Mm-hmm. Definitely great to support because, like we said at the very beginning, without them, without bees, we're not going to have vegetables. We're not going to have fruit.
Hey, your food
shortages are going to get worse. Food prices are going to get worse. And it's really easy and something that we do regularly. We go out for walks during the day and we keep an eye out for bees, like during the summer, especially when they're all out pollinating. We keep an eye out for them on the pavement and we make sure we don't step on them. We always stop for every bee that we see. And it may sound silly, but we've saved numerous honeybees, numerous bumblebees from being stepped on or from like their weakened state when they don't have, when they're feeling tired.
Yeah.
And we just move them off to a flower or something. They're not going to hurt you.
Yeah. Carry a little bee rescue kit.
Nothing to be afraid of.
Some sugar water in it and cotton swab to give it to them.
Yeah. Just be mindful. We try to be mindful. Mindful on everything we do. Be mindful. Be kind. Be mindful.
Exactly.
Which is beautiful because it rolls into my suggestion of supporting your local SPCA.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be money. You can donate a little bit of time, donate a little bit of love. Pets need us. We need them.
Yes.
Yes.
All three of our babies came from
shelters.
Yep. All rescue.
Everybody should do it at least once in your life.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially during the time of COVID when we need the support now more than ever.
Yeah.
Without question. You guys are awesome. Thank you for teaching us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna make my wife eat. Andrew's literally lost 10 pounds this entire time. So
yeah, I'm wasting away.
Yes.
As always, #Unicorn Chef. We'll see you guys actually tomorrow for the boxed wine extravaganza. But if you can't make it, come back next week. Thank you guys very much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.